There is in our society a just observable kind of bipolar nature to Democrat politics. And I understand that they're scheming, and I understand that they are people who are involved in a color revolution and pushing the color revolution forward. I know that they want destabilization, but they have also created an environment that has invited into their midst people who have, I think, at least borderline personality tendencies or bipolar tendencies. And borderline tendencies are these that you are someone, you can't view people in shades of gray. You can't say, gosh, I really love my husband and he's made some terrible mistakes. Your husband makes a mistake, you hate him. Until he does something good, and then you love him. And bipolar people are very, very strange. And it's very, very confusing to be bipolar and to be borderline personality. And bipolar and borderline personality are a little bit different. Bipolar people are either really super happy or very, very depressed and angry. So borderline people tend to be either angry or just don't want anything to do with you, or completely in love with you. There's this special person phenomena. So let's look at the special person phenomena and this kind of not bipolar, but sort of borderline behavior of these guys. This is the so-called mayor of Chicago. And by the way, I hope you celebrated Juneteenth this month. We had all the Juneteenth activities where you go out and you celebrate the racism of the country and the brutality that the country still enacts against black people. And we had a big party in North Idaho celebrating all that. That's what's the role we're supposed to play. Juneteenth is a time to reflect on the fact that we have, in fact, had huge progress in how black people are treated. Praise God for this. The so-called mayor of Chicago building up to Juneteenth with some statements.
Our way will bring to black residents in reclaiming ownership of our own communities. That is the spirit of Juneteenth, you all. It is about reflecting on our past. Other cultures are taught to never forget. We need to be reminded as blacks here in Chicago and America, remembering our past and working towards a more just future. Investing in black is not a criminal act.
I love this because he didn't get enough applause. Watch this.
Sister Zakiya says she need a witness, so I'm gonna say it again. Investing in black is not a criminal act.
Okay, so now we get the applause. That is a man in Chicago, the so-called mayor. He's investing in black by continuing to have black young men be the number one cause of death of black young men. That's the investing in black. Continuing to have his city with entire neighborhoods run by gangs. That's investing in black. That's not a criminal act. But it's everyone else's fault. Now, see, the borderline personality portion of this is he is picking a special person or special peoples. In the case of people with borderline tendencies, they will pick a person who is their shining star, their light, their direction. And they live for this person until that person disappoints them. And then they just completely, that person's now cut out. They're bad. In the case of the Democrat Party, it has been black people, but black people weren't sufficiently servile. So in the Democrat Party as a whole, then it became people who are gender defiant. And it became then the BIPOCs, the newcomers. They're now the very special person. And when they're in the elected office and they get to enact all of their insane policies, they're very, very happy. They're ecstatic. They're in that bipolar area. Well, look what we're doing and everything is good. And you see the disappearance of Antifa and Black Lives Matter Incorporated and the street militias are gone because they're super happy. Look what's going on. Then you get President Trump in. All of a sudden now, immigration matters. All of a sudden deportations matter, which went on during Biden, just not as much. When you create a system that is about tearing apart and tearing down in a color revolution, don't be surprised when the people who join that are people who are discontent, people who have these tendencies, these mental illness tendencies. And there's an example of this that is just societal, but it began with racism, and now it's spreading. And I'll show you this in a second because it has the capacity to financially ruin an organization that has been fighting forever to be able to pay their athletes a more amount of money, or greater amount, I should say. And it is this borderline, this bipolar type behavior. It's this terrible, not wisdom of crowds, but madness of crowds. And we'll talk about this in a second. We have a madness of crowds as it relates to the financial circumstances in our country. Here's one of the madness of crowds. Do you know that if you are on an ETF or electronic trading platform, do you know that by every single month, about 40% of your money automatically goes to the same 7 companies, no matter how they're doing, no matter how their performance looks or their revenues or their costs, it automatically 40% goes. Why? Because, well, no, there has to be a reason, not just because. No, the reason is because everyone else is doing it. Do you know that as the nation has been forcing people to convert to electricity, there was that drive to do away with natural gas? Do you notice all that was going on? The stock prices for regional electrical utilities remained unchanged. Did you know that? No one was buying them, even though the nation was being told everything has to be electric. Did you know that? Did you know that as the price of electric cars went up because of the mandates, do you know that the components of electric cars didn't go up? They remained flat. None of this makes any sense. It communicates, though, that you are in a situation where if you are still doing the old buy and hold thing, it can't make any sense because the underlying fundamentals are corrupt. Here's a suggestion for you. If you are 5, 10, even 15 years from retirement, go find out how corrupted your retirement accounts are. And then maybe they're not. And if they're not, the people at Bulwark Capital Management are going to tell you, you're in great position. Do not give us your money. We can do nothing to help you. If they can help you, they'll be honest and they show you how they can cut costs, how they can maybe lower your risks, how they can get you a retirement that they define as successful if you know how much money you're going to have every month for the rest of your life. So do this. Go to knowyourriskpodcast.com, schedule a review, no obligation, absolutely free. They'll talk to you 3 times for free to get you to a point where you can make a decision. Knowyourriskpodcast.com. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 25-217. You know who Caitlin Clark is, right? So Caitlin Clark is the WNBA. She draws more fans than anybody. People tune in specifically to see her. When she's not in games, the viewership goes down. Their team didn't make the finals this last year. The finals plummeted. Caitlin Clark has set massive records in her first season as a rookie and had led in every single statistical area save one. And this had to do with a woman who gets a lot of her own rebounds because she misses her own shots and gets her own rebounds. Caitlin Clark continues to face assault. This isn't play. This is assault. Caitlin is with the ball. She is clawed in the eye and then chest bumped to the floor. And you don't see a foul on this? Claude and look at the girl with the joy. And another one coming and chest bumping. Now, these were white girls going at Caitlin Clark, who happens to be white.
I would not be surprised if there is an elevation here in the call. Marina Mabry kind of blindsided Clark there, and they're going to take a look.
And Alex, my producer, was telling me that they actually fined one of Caitlin's teammates for coming in to defend her. This stuff began as a race thing because she was the white girl. And we've seen what appears to be some of the black NBA players talking about, trashy white girl, etc. I know we were talking about politics, but we're also talking about culture. We're talking about bipolar type culture in the Democrat Party, borderline tendency type culture. We hate Caitlin Clark because she's not us, because she's successful. That sounds like the Democrat Party. Ilhan Omar, who is, I don't know that I've ever seen evidence that proves she married her brother. I've seen evidence that suggests she married her brother and pretty convincingly suggests it. Ilhan Omar, this can't be argued, was rescued from a country that had fallen apart due to Islam and leftism, progressivism, socialism, all of the isms. She's rescued. She comes to the United States of America. She serves, well, she doesn't serve. She disserves as a United States Congresswoman. And this is her announcement in regard to the country that rescued her.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights.
The military is in our streets without regard to anyone's constitutional rights. We have a right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, which would mean to me that we can drive to the park or to a job interview or to our home or to see our kids or to a retirement home or to the hospital. That's not what Antifa thinks. Antifa thinks they have the right to trap you downtown. I think police officers have the right to not have their heads cracked open with stones or bricks. She's not seen anything like this in her country? Are you kidding? You're lying. You've seen people unalived in your country in the most violent possible ways in public. You just choose to not say that. Now, see, the borderline tendencies, that's a borderline tendency. That is, I have to hate this person because they're not the very special people. The media plays with this. The most corrupt newspaper in America is no longer the New York Times. It has more an audience. Seattle Times has taken over that position. This is a legitimate headline from the Seattle Times, and I'll tell you, I'll read you the headline. Then you can try to figure out what they were covering. Ready? Tukwila police used tear gas on protesters of unusual ICE check-in. An ICE special response team in Tukwila police used tear gas, flashbangs, and pepper balls on a crowd of about 150 people Sunday. This is a developing story. Check back for updates. An unusual ICE check-in. What was it actually? The unusual check-in was an attempt to lock ICE officers in their federal building by dragging barricades over and lighting fires to force them to stay in their offices. It didn't work because ICE agents came out heavy and they very politely, legitimately politely said, please move back, please move back. And when they didn't, yes, they used flashbangs. But you know what else happened at that event? 2 journalists were assaulted. One of them is a friend of mine, former colleague named Brandy Cruz, was assaulted. Yeah, they threw water at her. They pushed her. They tried to grab her cameras. They beat another guy, beat him bloody. And they did this, of course, because the very special people in their borderline world are being removed. People who are here illegally. This would be the very same thing as fighting to keep a bank robber in the bank. Because after all, they'd been there a long time. I mean, by comparison, most people in the bank, 1 minute, 2 minutes, maybe 10. They've been in the bank for an hour. They should be able to live there. The Democrat Party is the party of bipolar and borderline tendencies, which seems a lot like a spiritual war. Strange that.